Welcome back to Boo You Gore, the true crime podcast where the laughs are uncontrollable and the crimes are just as chaotic.
I'm Jade.
And I'm Annetta.
And we're your hosts of Boo You Gore.
Today I'm diving into the real-life horror story that Hollywood loosely, I guess, twisted into the cult classic Jennifer's Body. Have you seen that movie?
I think I did it'd be a long time ago though. Was it like
It's
Megan Fox or something
Megan
played
Fox,
it? Yeah.
demonic possessions, man-eating succubus vibe, that sort of...
Nice.
It's actually a good movie. But the real story, it's a bit darker and it's real. Elyse Pahler, if that's how you say it, Pahler? P-A-H-L-E-R?
Yeah, Pahler?
Elyse Pahler was a 15-year-old girl from California whose brutal murder in 1995 was as tragic as it was exploited by the media, the courts, and the society obsessed with blaming metal music to bad grades or even ritual sacrifice. It was during that whole satanic panic era when anyone listening to literally heavy metal automatically became Satan worshipper or something. Satan didn't kill Elyse, but 3 teenage boys with twisted motives and a desire to start a metal band is the reason that they killed her.
So that's where everyone's going wrong.
Yep.
Satanic sacrifice.
Yeah.
And then you get what you want.
We can talk about how one girl's life was reduced to a tabloid headline and how Jennifer's Body became the weirdly feminist revenge fantasy none of us knew we needed. I say it was loosely based off of this because what they do is kill what they thought was a virgin.
Yeah.
Megan Fox was not a virgin.
Shocker.
She makes the same joke in the movie. But yeah, so they sacrifice her in like a satanic ritual because they think it's going to make them famous. I mean, in the movie it does, because there was like a tragedy that occurred with the fire and stuff. But yeah, that's why it loosely was based on this case, because there was 3 teenage boys that killed a 15-year-old girl just because she was a virgin from their school with blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah. And
one of them was obsessed with her, so I'll get into that. So Elyse Marie Pahler was a 15-year-old Arroyo Grande High School Arroyo Grande High School freshman who was murdered on July 22nd, 1995 by 3 teenage boys, Royce Casey, Jacob Delaschmidt, and Joseph Fiorella.
So I just Googled how to pronounce it,
and
it says to say it like Pahler.
Pahler?
Yeah.
All right. Elyse Marie Pahler. So Casey, Delaschmidt, and Fiorella, they lured Elyse Pahler to a remote location and stabbed her to death as a sacrifice to Satan. The trio had planned to act for months, believing that murdering Pahler would enhance their death metal playing. They were each sentenced to 25 to 26 years to life in prison. In 2007, Pahler's family unsuccessfully attempted to sue Slayer, claiming that the thrash metal band's music incited the boys to murder their daughter. The lawsuit was dismissed by a judge pretty much immediately.
So it should be.
Yeah, that's pretty silly because it goes into a bit of detail, but one judge literally said something like you could then pretty much go into library and pick out every book and go down that line.
Yeah.
It's
exactly every video game,
exactly.
Like you've still got to have thought. Like, you've got to know in your own brain what you want to do.
Exactly.
Like, I listen to metal music. I listen to some pretty fucked up metal music, and I don't cut people up.
Yeah. After the first case was dismissed, they actually tried to re-sue Slayer and say there was, like, specific songs that they mentioned, and they were suing because they released music or something to underage kids, or, like, underage kids listen to it. But then I was like, well, they have warnings on everything.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, why are you letting your kids buy something that would probably have an 18 plus warning on it? If you're saying that's the reason, you can't sue a band for something like that.
It's not like they purposely went out of their way and said, we're going to direct this song to these kids and make them go and kill someone. Yeah.
Shit, what was that? So just a little bit about Elyse. She was a vivacious, curious teenager with a dramatic flair. She designed and sewed her own dresses. She was very creative.
Yeah.
She attended Arroyo Grande High School with Royce Casey, Jacob Delaschmidt, and Joseph Fiorella. Casey, Delaschmidt, and Fiorella were self-professed cult followers of Slayer, forming their own death metal band named Hatred. More obsessed than his two friends, Fiorella studied Slayer song lyrics as if they held deep meaning, admitting that the music started to influence the way he looked at things. Which I know, like, you can put blame on things like that. It's how a lot of serial killers put blame on porn or whatever they...
Yeah. Like, your own judgment has got to come in at some point.
Like you've got to know between right and wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched Peter Pan. I don't think I can fly. Like,
exactly. Yeah. I don't watch Brave Little Toaster and think I'm a fucking toaster.
Want a bath together?
Oh, shit. Fiorella later asked Delaschmidt if he would be interested in sacrificing a virgin, selecting their classmate Elyse Pahler because he was obsessed with her and obsessed with killing her. So he admitted to that to one of them. So the crime itself occurred on July 22nd, 1995. Casey, Delaschmidt, and Fiorella lured Elyse Pahler to a Nipomo Mesa eucalyptus grove, telling her that they were going to smoke cannabis. That evening, the mum apparently stated she was acting a bit weird on the phone, and later in the night, after saying goodnight, everyone went to bed, blah, blah, blah. She went in to check on her and saw that she was gone. So she'd snuck out of the house to meet up with these boys.
It's amazing how many cases we've looked into, and I think we've already done one before, where the kid had snuck out of the window.
Yeah.
And you're like, guys, if you're listening to this and you're a child, parents tell you to fucking stay inside so you don't end up on a podcast.
I mean, I've snuck out of a friend's place when we were sleeping. We were not quiet about it. But like, I get what you're saying, but it's, as a teenager, you're not going to listen.
Yeah,
you're not going to
exactly.
You think it's not going to be me.
Yeah, exactly.
But it could be you. Right. So shortly after arrival, Delaschmidt strangled Pahler with a belt before Fiorella stabbed her in the neck with a hunting knife. Delaschmidt and Casey then stabbed her several more times in the neck and the back. As Pahler moaned on the ground, Casey stomped on the back of her neck, and since none of the wounds were fatal, Pahler slowly bled to death. Which is very sad.
Yeah.
And distressing. I've seen a picture of all three boys, and they actually look like one of them, the one that was obsessed with her, has such a baby face.
Yeah.
And you're like, these are children.
Yeah. How are they even thinking about that?
Being that violent and actually going through with and doing these things.
Yeah. Them up.
Yeah, look them up.
My God. They're like little bobbers. Like, Royce looks a little bit older,
yeah.
But Joseph Fiorella.
Yeah. So he's the one that was obsessed with her.
12.
Yeah.
He's so little. It shows the difference that puberty makes.
Yeah.
These kids are the same age, and one's a child and the other two are men.
Yeah. One's got like full facial moustache and shit.
Yeah. Wow, what a waste of a life.
So after the boys were sure that Pahler died, Delaschmidt started to pull off Pahler's pants since they had previously discussed raping her corpse. Court documents reported that Casey said they should leave instead, and the men buried Pahler in a shallow grave and left the area. Now, there's actually reports that they went back for over a month to rape the corpse.
Wow.
But because... Oh, hold on, I'll get to it. Pahler's body was discovered after Casey actually confessed his role in the crime to a clergyman. So that's a priest, isn't it?
Yeah.
The priest notified police, and Casey actually led authorities to Pahler's partially mummified remains. All three were taken into custody and charged with 7 counts, including murder, conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit rape, and kidnapping. Authorities initially pursued torture and rape charges, but officials were unable to determine whether she was sexually assaulted due to the decomposition of her remains.
Wow.
And yeah, then I wrote, apparently they returned to the body for up to a month to have sex with the corpse, but that was never confirmed because, yeah. But that's very Ted Bundy of them.
Yeah.
But yuck. The murder was described in court documents as one of the most brutal and horrific murders in the history of San Luis Obispo County. Casey, Delaschmidt, and Fiorella were convicted and sentenced to 25 to 26 years in prison. During the trial, the district attorney's office's chief investigator, Doug Odom, testified that the 3 teenagers had picked Pahler because she had blonde hair and blue eyes, and because she was a virgin, she would be a perfect sacrifice for the devil.
Wow.
They had some very disturbing ideologies, I guess. When asked why they committed the crime, Odom reported that Casey said, by making this perfect sacrifice to the devil, they would gain more craziness or nuts. That would make them play harder and play faster. And by making this perfect sacrifice to the devil, it might help them go, quote, professional. So that was their belief, that they would sacrifice an innocent 15-year-old girl and that somehow that would get them this big stardom and that they would be able to, almost like superpowers. What the fuck?
You can play guitar really good now because you killed a virgin.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was waiting for. Yeah. Right. So after the death of their daughter, David and Elyse, Pahler claimed that the Slayer songs Postmortem, Deathskin Mask, and Seasons in the Abyss gave the three killers detailed instructions to stalk, rape, torture, murder, and commit acts of necrophilia on their daughter. The lawsuit was originally filed in 1996, but delayed until 2000 when the killer's trial was concluded. And again, I thought this was quite some time ago. Like, I didn't realize it would take that long to put them on trial for something like that. The initial case was originally thrown out, the judge stating there's not a legal position that could be taken that would make Slayer responsible for the girl's death. Where do you draw the line? You might as well start looking through the library at every book on the shelf, which, like we said before, it's so true. You can't pinpoint something like that. I know you want someone to blame. Put that blame on those three boys.
Exactly. Like, the Bible itself is full of murder and rape and torture
and sin and all this stuff. Yeah.
Like, so where does that line stop?
Exactly, yeah. So that's like the judge said, where do you draw the line? Where do you stop? So undeterred, the Pahlers launched a second lawsuit claiming that Slayer knowingly distributed harmful material to minors. This case too was dismissed, with Judge E. Jeffrey Burke stating, I do not consider Slayer's music obscene, indecent, or harmful to minors. Which it's not. Like, people sing about the most randomest shit.
Exactly.
Like it.
I've heard a Katy Perry song and I've never kissed a girl and I've never liked it.
Exactly. It's just their way of expressing themselves.
That's it. And not everything that comes out of a musician's mouth is true. Sometimes it just makes a good story.
There's all these movies out there about murder and sin and all these things happening. You could go blame every movie out there.
That's it.
And then everything's banned. And
doesn't mean the writer wants to go and cut someone up and do all these murders. They just know what makes an interesting story.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So Jacob Delaschmut himself stated in a Washington Post interview, the music is destructive, but that's not why Elyse was murdered. She was murdered because Joe Fiorella was obsessed with her and obsessed with killing her. So he's repeated the same thing. So they've been told that. He must have spoke about it so passionately, probably.
Yeah.
So Royce Casey was denied parole by Governor Gavin Newsom in July 2021. However, a Superior Court judge in June 2022 overturned the decision and granted parole to Casey, which was then reversed by California Court of Appeal, thank God.
Yeah, wow.
Joseph Fiorella had a parole hearing tentatively scheduled for July 2023 after voluntarily waiving his right to a hearing for 1 year, and Jacob Delaschmut had a parole hearing scheduled for December 2024. Which was literally feels like the other month.
Yeah.
Royce Casey is imprisoned in Valley State Prison, Joseph Fiorella in High Desert State Prison, and Jacob Delaschmut in Correctional Training Facility. Delaschmut, though, was released in July 2025.
Oh, wow, like 5 minutes ago.
Yep.
Wow.
Casey's the one that got them all caught.
Yeah.
And then Fiorelli was the one that was... I guess more passionate about it.
Yeah.
So he was the random one. I'm not quite sure how involved he was in the actual act himself.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he was released earlier.
So Casey obviously at least had remorse because he
confessed to it.
And had to get it off his chest. Wow.
And that's the whole nature nurture thing as well.
Yeah.
You could be brought up in such a loving family.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean your taste in music is like what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's all about like the vibe that song gives you.
Yeah,
like I love heavy metal, I love new metal, I love heavy rap music.
Yeah,
but I'll still sit there and listen to a Billie Eilish song.
Yeah,
because that song
gives
got nothing to do with, who I am or anything like that. My life, like my job, my everything I do is all very, very dark. But I'll drive along and like
You've got a Labubu, for Christ's sake.
Right? I have a Labubu. I have a glitter mermaid scale cup with me today.
And you bedazzled your microphone.
And I bedazzled my microphone. And I would drive along in the car and like smash a Cardi B song. Know every single word to it. Liking metal music doesn't make you a bad person. Liking pop music doesn't make you a good person.
It doesn't define who you are.
Yeah. Like the boys blamed it on Slayer, but there's something else. Slayer didn't say, hey, you three guys, if you murder this girl, you're going to get real good at music and be rich and famous. Where did all the puzzle pieces come for them to go, hey, we need to do this sacrifice?
I don't think they themselves blamed Slayer. One of them said, like, it was Fiorelli just obsessed with her. It had nothing to do with the band. Yeah. I think it was more, like we said, during that satanic panic, people during the whole West Memphis 3. It was just they blamed 3 boys that because they wore black and listened to certain music.
That's it, because they were different and they dared to stand out.
Just because of what they listened to.
Yeah. Well, it was like no different to, in the 70s when the guys had the long hair and, they were hippies and hippies were drug addicts and...
Yeah, it's just very stereotypical.
Yeah, every generation there's that, I guess, group. And yeah, the satanic panic thing was huge around that time. And a lot of them, I mean, in this case, obviously the boys were guilty. But in a lot of those cases, it turned out that the people they were pointing the finger at weren't even guilty. It was just that they wore black clothes and they had chains hanging off their pants and they listened to loud screaming music and they had long black hair. And
I think it was easy to put the blame on that type of music as well because they were in a band and because that was their goal was to be better musicians.
But it still happens. Like, look at all the shit that Eminem was blamed for. Marilyn Manson was blamed for.
Yeah.
They blamed school shootings on Marilyn Manson because one of the kids who did a school shooting was wearing a Manson t-shirt. What about the 300 others that weren't?
And what did they listen to?
Exactly.
I was just going to Google if there's anything, because I feel like I didn't have many more notes. I couldn't find much more on what's sort of going to happen with them or what's happened with the one that was released. Yeah. It just says that he was released, but I guess it was only a couple months ago. There's not much more they can update.
Oh, if it was July, it was only days ago.
What I was trying to find was sort of what, I guess, restrictions he would have. He's not just a free man. Yeah. I hope.
You never know. After serving that amount of time, if he's served his full sentence, he might just be free and clear now.
I suppose you'd still have a parole officer. You'd be on, like, you can't do certain things for a while. Drink alcohol or, like, be seen and, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like, you look at Gypsy. She only got 12 months. 12 months on parole.
I think that's a bit hard, because wasn't it her boyfriend that... Oh, I think we need to do that as a case.
Yeah, that's a...
Because wasn't it her boyfriend that killed the mum specifically?
Apparently.
So that's why she didn't get as much of a sentence?
But now there's this whole, rabbit hole on TikTok about her.
Oh, really?
Where there's all these theories that the mum was dead before the boyfriend even got there.
Oh.
That Gypsy had actually done the murder. There's so many different theories out there now. And every time anything like that, like, Gypsy will open up her TikTok and someone will go and comment and then she locks her TikTok straight away. Like, people can't comment on anything. But then a few people will make videos about it and then she'll open her TikTok and she responds. And it's the worst train wreck ever, but I can't stop watching it.
I've not come across this stuff.
Yeah. Oh.
My algorithm on TikTok is so random. I have puppies and then random scary horror games and shit.
Mine lately has been so much, I mean, it's always been true crime, but it's been really, really heavy with true crime lately, which has been really interesting because there's so much happening in the true crime world at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've got, I was researching it before, the West Memphis 3, the DNA testing.
Yeah.
The boys are paying for it themselves.
Oh, wow.
So the 3 boys and then Jason Branford, I think it is, who was one of the stepdads who was accused of the murder.
Yep.
They're paying for the DNA testing. So obviously they want to clear their names, which the West Memphis 3 have been released now. But that's
on my list to do.
Yeah.
West Memphis 3.
That's a really interesting case. And another case of satanic panic. And, 3 boys that lost their whole entire lives because they listened to heavy metal music and dyed their hair black.
And got coerced into, well, one of them got coerced into pleading guilty.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good case to do, especially now. That one might be a 2 or 3-parter.
Yeah, that one.
Depends how detailed we want to get with that one.
Because that one could go so in depth with.
And it is a very heavy case.
I think even to just be respectful to the little boys, it has to be a big episode.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much, like, so much with the families, so much backstory on the families.
You need all that with it just to understand.
Yeah. And then what else is there? There's been so many things. They found the head in Port Lincoln.
That's interesting. Imagine finding that. It was an older gentleman just walking his dog.
Yeah, his dog
found it in the bushes.
Little beagle found it.
So she obviously didn't do a very good job of discarding it if someone just found it.
Yeah.
Happened upon it.
Yeah, well, apparently the dog took off and it wouldn't come back, like when he was calling it. So he went to go have a look to see why. And it had the head. Apparently there was just a skull. There wasn't anything left on it.
Like you reckon other animals had?
Probably, yeah.
That's...
Yeah, because it's been out there a while now.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because how long is like the composition?
Well, it depends too, because I haven't said like whether it was buried or anything. Because if it was just out in the open, like mice, rats, birds, cats, feral cats, everything would have just been getting to it, and it would have been.
It would have been like lots of things.
Should have been not much left of it.
Wow.
But there was another.
I was gonna say there was a few updates of random true crime things that we were just like, this is that we need a whole segment just on updates. Right.
One of the Menendez brothers is in hospital.
I did see that, yes.
And they said, like, I don't even remember seeing on the news that they had been resentenced. They were sentenced to 50 years, which means they've already served their minimum non-parole, so they're eligible for parole this year.
I didn't see that either. The last I seen was that it got postponed or something.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And because I didn't know anything about it until I saw that he'd gone to hospital.
Yeah.
And then it said, because they were saying in there, hopefully he's okay and
can get out.
He can actually get out because he should be due for release this year. I was like, why was that hushed?
Yeah.
We were all so desperate for that information, and it was
hushed.
on
the news or before.
Yeah.
Even on our Australian news it was on
and then
about them.
Just went so quiet.
That is odd.
Maybe, it's probably a good thing because then they could have been released and just got out without all the hoopla.
Without what they thought was a huge media circus to begin with.
There were so many things. I feel like I should have written them all down because there was
you need a little
just update after update after update on things.
I think mainly it was that the head was found.
Yeah. Some of these stories that we come across, especially now that I'm paying more attention to like the legal side of things as well, so frustrating.
And what you need to pinpoint things or to put the blame on things. Like it's It's like the well, even the another thing that's all over the news at the moment, like the Steve Williams case. They're all saying, they're quite openly saying they know who did it. They know where he was killed. They know the car that removed him from the property he was killed at. They don't know where he was dropped, but they can't do anything because they don't have the evidence. How frustrating it must be to be a cop and know that you know who did it and know that they're walking the streets and there's fuck all you can do because there's just not that smoking gun. A legal side of things. If you did something on a hunch,
you
can't, whether you can't use that in court.
It just gets thrown out of court because they say, where's your evidence? I know he did it.
Or you've done something illegal technically.
And that's, it's good because there would be some police officers out there who would
abuse that. There's 100%.
I'm really enjoying lately looking into more of the legal side of things.
Yeah.
And talking to a few of my clients who are police officers who are so frustrated because like they said, when these people get off, everyone's so quick to stand there and go, oh, the cops let them walk. The cops did this. The cops did that. The cops do their job.
Yeah.
They get them arrested. They get the evidence. They get them into jail. They get them to court. It's the courts that are failing, not the police.
Yeah.
And everyone's so quick to go, oh no, the cops let him go. Oh, you don't do shit. You don't do this. You don't do that. They did.
Their job is to catch them.
That's it. They've done everything.
Then it's like the judge's job to prosecute them and
that's it.
The jury and whatever else, whether there's a trial.
And it's the judges that are being too lenient.
Right. So yeah, that was one of the updates. I was just having a look. Ew. There is a lot of disgusting stories of women beating their babies.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm sure there was something else. I'm sure I'll think of it. There have been so many.
Yeah, we've
I
mentioned
love
the
our
main
side
ones.
quests.
We do have some good side quests. I don't know how else to. I say it every time that I don't know how to end an episode, but this
Yeah.
one has a very, just say, undetailed outcome. The two main ones are still in prison. One
Yeah.
has been released, like we said, literally just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Not
couple
even a couple
days
months, a
ago.
couple of days ago, because we're
Yeah.
in August. So that's kind of scary for, I guess, her family, because I think they didn't get the closure they wanted.
Yeah.
I think with them putting a lot of the blame on Slayer and
Yeah.
doing 2 cases against them and then being denied both times, they wouldn't have probably had that closure they wanted.
Yeah. They probably would have got further doing wrongful death cases against the 3 boys.
Yeah. I think because there was just so much against them, they knew they were going to be put away already.
Yeah.
Maybe that still wasn't, it didn't feel like enough for them, maybe.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to, be like, this is what it is and this is what it isn't, because I don't know what they're feeling. I don't know. Knowing your child
Absolutely.
has been that brutally taken from you,
Yep.
you are going to go into some sort of rage. You want someone to blame.
Yep. You wouldn't care what the outcome was on you.
Yeah.
Like, you
And
wouldn't
how
care
you-
what it
you-
costs. Yep.
To
You
the
wouldn't.
public, they just wanted, I guess, more people to be punished for this, because it was just, those 3 just weren't enough.
That's it. Like, you wouldn't worry about what it costs for lawyers
Yeah.
to do the cases. You would just go like a bat out of hell until you got some sort of what you felt was retribution.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Well, thanks for listening. Go and do all the
Yeah.
the usuals.
As Jade will say, hit the little bells.
Hit the bells. I have, speaking of social media, TikTok has deleted a whole bunch of our videos. I was just telling Annetta when I got here. So I've been going back on and arguing the point with them to try and get them reinstated, right? And I think I've worked out it was one of the hashtags I was using.
Mm-hmm.
So there was at the time of recording this, there was a new video on TikTok. If it's still there or not, I don't know. We'll find out shortly. And hi to Finland, who has just joined who's just joined our worldwide listeners.
Yes, our list of countries that we're getting to. It's actually really exciting.
Right. We should get a world map, and mark the places when people listen
cool.
there.
We could do that.
Yeah, because that
little,
would be really cool.
Followers board.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's actually a good idea.
And then we can see like where we're spreading around the world, because we've hit some interesting places.
Really random places.
Yeah.
That you just don't imagine. You're like, what if they search to find us?
Yeah.
Come across us.
And I don't think it notifies us unless they listen to the whole episode, does it?
I'm actually not quite sure on that.
Someone just accidentally clicks on it and we're like, woohoo, new listener.
Nah, surely it'd be the whole thing. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, thanks, Finland.
We'd like to think that you've listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, follow us on all the socials and we'll see you in a fortnight.
Yes, we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
So we have just come back because as we were wrapping up that episode, we were having a little Google and we found an article posted 2 hours ago in regards to this case.
What is the timing of that?
Right. So as you would know, if you've listened all the way through, we were talking about how one of the people was released a few days ago. Well, it gets even better. So we're literally going to read the article exactly as it's written. None of this is from us. This is straight from the article written by Pat Pemberton on the Courthouse News Service website. So some of the stuff will obviously be stuff that you have already heard in the episode today, and some of it will be new and updated, but we're reading it exactly as it was written. So 2 killers from shocking satanic teen murder case paroled. The 1995 murder of Elyse Pahler garnered national and international attention, renewing fears of devil worship and violent death metal music. Arroyo Grande, California. 8 months after 15-year-old Elyse Pahler mysteriously vanished from her Arroyo Grande home, another teenager, overwhelmed with guilt, told a pastor about the horrible things he and his two buddies had done. After Royce, Casey subsequently confessed to law enforcement and led detectives to Pahler's decomposed body. News accounts of the crime would shock the community with details of barbaric violence, death, metal music, and alleged Satan worship. It's perpetually described as one of the most notorious cases in the county, said Charles Carboni, a prison rights attorney. On Friday, 30 years after the gruesome murder, Casey walked out of Valley State Prison in Chowchilla, set free by a parole board. A month earlier, co-defendant Jacob Delschmidt was also quietly released from custody. So one of these guys was released 4 days ago.
That is insane. What are the odds of me picking this one?
Right?
I didn't see that, obviously, because it's only just come out. What
Yeah,
the hell?
like literally 2 hours ago. So in 1997, Casey, then 17, Delashmit, 16, and Joseph Fiorella, 15, all pled no contest to murder, receiving sentences of 25 years to life in prison. Because the case never went to trial, many questions remained about their motivations and actions. In March, Casey, who helped break the case, was granted parole for a third time. A third time!
And now he's actually
Governor Gavin Newsom then referred the matter to the entire parole board, which affirmed the decision July 23rd, 30 years and a day after the murder. Carboni, who represented Casey, thinks the 47-year-old inmate has met the criteria the state requires for parole. He spent over 3 decades in prison, Carboni said, noting that three psychiatric experts deemed Casey a low risk to reoffend. It's not just the time, it's the quality of the time. Alan Hutkin, who had represented the Pahler family, said David Pahler, Elyse's father, did not object to Casey's parole, but everyone was shocked that Delashmit was released. Neither of the other two should ever get out, Hutkin said, noting that unlike Casey, the others had never shown contrition. That makes no sense whatsoever. While Casey has spoken with the board directly, his case for freedom was also spelled out in a 46-page statement he wrote to the parole board members in 2021, which Carboni later included in a habeas corpus filing. The statement revealed Casey's rehabilitation efforts, feelings of remorse, beliefs on causation, and shocking details of the crime and its aftermath. According to Casey, he was an angry, isolated teen who bonded with the other two, among other things, over their love of death metal music. These songs spoke of mass murders, serial killers, war criminals, and executioners. He wrote, they spoke of suicide, murder, satanic ritual, and devil worship. The band Slayer in particular resonated with the teens. He wrote the band's lyrics made him personally feel powerful. And as the teens sought to emulate the lyrics, eventually Fiorella began describing an obsession with Pahler. As Pahler's friends described in a recent investigation discovery show, Killer Among Friends, Pahler was a well-liked, pretty blonde-haired girl with dreams of being an entertainer. By May 1995, Casey wrote, the trio had discussed sacrificing a person 24 times, several times a week over the course of about 2 months. Eventually, they focused on Pahler as the target. In July, Casey stopped at a market to buy drinks with a female friend when he randomly saw Fiorella and Delashmit at a payphone. We got off the phone with Elyse, Fiorella said. You know what we're going to do. Casey bid his friend farewell and departed with his accomplices, who discussed their plan as they walked towards Pahler's home, even brandishing the belt and knife that they planned to use on the attack. When I saw the belt and knife, I knew this was no longer just a hypothetical discussion, Casey wrote. After meeting Pahler, who had sneaked out of her home, the group walked to Eucalyptus Grove, and after talking and smoking pot, Delashmit pretended he needed to use the restroom. Instead, he took off his belt and strangled Pahler. As she struggled, all three culprits took turns brutally stabbing her, and as she moaned and cried out for her mother and Jesus, Casey stomped on her head and neck, silencing her. Casey acknowledged that he could have stopped the crime before or during the assault, but he did not. The knowledge that she was dying must have been horrifying, and she must have been in immense spiritual turmoil and pain, not having any proof of what comes after this life, he wrote. After the murder, they covered Pahler's body with sticks and leaves and began walking to Fiorella's house. The three bragged about their crime and ran and hid each time a car drove by. They were eventually picked up by Delashmit's father, who happened to be looking for his son, unaware of what he had just done.
Wouldn't they have been covered in blood and stuff?
You
Or?
would think so, after stabbing her and jumping on her head and shit like that.
Doing God
Yeah.
knows what. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So at school, Pahler was initially thought to be a runaway, while the trio knew what had happened to her, and when they gathered to play music in their band, Hatred, they celebrated the murder. We talked about how each of us would be rewarded by the devil for what we had done, Casey wrote. We talked about how Elyse had fit exactly the image of the perfect sacrifice described in the music we were obsessed with. We talked about Elyse being a trophy for the devil and a girlfriend to add to his winnings. Meanwhile, law enforcement suggested Pahler had simply run away from home. They never looked for her, said Hutkin, the family attorney. They never really made an effort to find her. As her parents relentlessly pursued leads from strangers, some with faraway sightings and far-out claims, Elyse Pahler laid deceased just a quarter of a mile from her home. Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
3 months after the crime, as he witnessed numerous missing flyers throughout the community, Casey began to feel guilt and shame. He wanted to tell his parents, he wrote, but he could not. Instead, he found a pastor he befriended in January. I was trying to work up the courage to come forward, he told the parole board during the 2021 hearing, but I kept finding excuses of why not to. Finally, on March 14th, 1996, he told the clergyman what he had done. In time, as I tried to go on with my life, I tried to force myself to change into a murderer, and in my very being, my guilt, shame, and emotional pain, my conscience, finally became too immense to ignore, he wrote. I had all this time to live my life as if nothing had happened, laughing, going to school, spending time with my friends and family, doing all the things Elyse could no longer do because of me. And the so-called satanic panic of the 80s and 90s was exposed as a moral panic with unsubstantiated claims of satanic ritual abuse. The Pahler murder garnered national and international attention, renewing fears of sensational devil worship and questions of the impact of death metal music with violent lyrics. The Pahlers sued Slayer producer Rick Rubin and music labels, saying the influential music was wrongly marketed towards youths, but they lost on First Amendment grounds in 2001. As the suit was pending, during an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Fiorella claimed the music didn't motivate the murder, suggesting the public was just desperate for a reason. It was a small town and a big murder, he told the magazine. They needed to know why it happened. Both Carboni and Hutkin believe the songs were impactful. I don't blame the music per se. I think they are a lot of causative factors beyond it, Carboni said, noting the teens were profoundly troubled and using drugs. The motive here was inspired by the music. Casey, who went into detail about the impact of music, also cited isolation, loneliness, drugs, and the need to be accepted as contributing factors for the crime. When determining eligibility for release, parole boards look to multiple factors, including expressions of remorse, understanding the cause of a crime, and the plan for post-prison life. But releasing killers in well-publicized cases is also politically fraught. The governor can approve a board's suitability decision, reject it, or send it to an entire new parole board for further review. Newsom had previously rejected Casey's parole on 2 other occasions. While David Pahler did not oppose Casey's release, citing his confessions as a factor, Elise's survivors were forever changed by Casey's actions. Both parents have struggled with mental health issues for 3 decades, and in a 2017 court filing for restitution, David Pahler, a once successful contractor, described how the couple lost their home and had to rely on food stamps when he could no longer work in the 3 years after the murder. Though they received prison sentences ranging from 25 years to life, it did little to ease the horror of what they'd done, David Pahler wrote. The pain of losing my daughter and knowing she suffered will never leave me. To this day, Hutkin said, David Pahler feels guilty for not checking on his daughter after she claimed that she was going to bed that night. While David Pahler tried to keep the crime in the public eyes for decades in prison, Casey wanted the opposite, knowing he could face retribution from other inmates if they knew what he had done. I've kept my crime, Elise's murder, a secret. I've also kept it a secret that I confessed my crime and turned myself, Jacob, and Joe into the authorities, he wrote. This is also very disfavored among prisoners. Fiorella...
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah, right? Fiorella, currently incarcerated at the High Desert State Prison in Susanville, is tentatively due for parole hearing next June. Meanwhile, neither of his accomplices can return to San Luis Obispo County, nor can they reach out to any of Pahler's family. Carboni thinks Casey will be a good parolee and employee. It's going to be very slow, Carboni said. When you've missed the last 30 years, you don't just dive back in. So there you go. 2 of the 3 are free, and 1 is due for parole in June next year.
That is insane. There's an editor's note here. The author of this piece, Pat Pemberton, he actually appears in the investigation discovery show A Killer Among Friends, which is actually I was going to say has an episode on Elyse Pahler
Yeah.
and the whole story. Is apparently a pretty good show. Like, it's very detailed. So
have
that
to
might be
suss that
worth
out.
watching.
What are the
So,
chances that we
yeah.
spot that right after we finish recording?
as we just happen to be here Googling
Yeah.
more about it. Because I couldn't obviously find anything before because there wasn't anything. They were still
Yeah.
just in prison. And then obviously one had been released, like we said, in July
Yep.
this year. And then, yeah, bang.
The other one on Friday, and it's Tuesday now.
Holy shit.
So
Literally a
literally
couple
4
of
days ago. Yep.
That's insane.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Well, the universe wanted you to tell this story right now.
Apparently so. It was just right there for me to research. Wow.
Well,
But I don't know how to end it now. I guess,
Yeah.
like Jade always says, hit the little bells.
bye again.
See you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.